Alright, so I'm going to be showing how to open up and disassemble this Dell Inspiron 153530. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, we're going to have to undo all the screws from the bottom, but let me go ahead and get some thumbnails here. Alright, we're going to be using a PH1 or JAS1 screwdriver. Okay, so here we go. Alright, let's flip this over. And I like to start with the hinges away from me, but you can start however you want. Alright, let me get this centered real quick. There we go. Alright, and let's go ahead and undo all the screws. So we'll undo all these PH1 or JS1 screws. You can see the screws actually stay attached to the bottom cover, at least that corner one. Alright, you want to keep the screws in order because they can be different size, shape, and lengths. The way I do that is I put them flat side down like that on my desk in the pattern. I remove them. Alright, so these corner ones I believe both stay in. But the rest should pop out. Okay, if this video helps you out, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. And if it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. If you can't help out that way, it would help a lot if you could watch a few of my other videos and then like and comment on those as well, because that's what the algorithm likes to see. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and finish getting these screws out and pop this open. So the charge port on here is super loose. So when we plug this in, if you see this, it just comes out. Like, it doesn't actually charge, and it comes out pretty easily. So we're going to be replacing the charge port, and hopefully that fixes the charging issue. Okay, so now that these corners are popped up, usually what I do is I pull up on that and then I slide my fingernail along the side. Okay, obviously you don't have to use fingernails, you can use plastic pry tools or whatever. But we're gonna now go all the way around the front. Same thing, just sliding my fingernail along there. You can see the clips are all coming out. Same thing, working our way down this side. And then we have to go along this gap here. Okay, same thing. And there we go. The bottom cover is now completely released. So this is what the bottom looks like. Okay, not really much to it. The two screws are held in with little metal washers, so make sure you don't lose those screws. Sometimes if you don't know, you can actually end up pulling that out. Okay, so here's what the inside of the computer looks like. I'll go over the components, but the main thing we're going to be doing is replacing the charge port here. So to remove the charge port, let me actually zoom in here for you. Okay, so we have two screws. If you want to be extra safe, let's go ahead and remove the battery connector. So the way I remove this is I just go from the wings and then wiggle, and it should pop out just like that. After you disconnect that, you want to open up the laptop and then press and hold the power button for at least 15 seconds to drain any residual power. All right, this makes it a lot safer to work on. Sometimes people ask me if they have to do this. I mean, you don't need to take the screws out to get to the inside of the computer. You can just smash it on the ground too if that's what you want to do. But it's 15 seconds, so take the 15 seconds, hold the power button, drain the capacitors and things like that. It'll make it a lot safer to work on this. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and take the screws out from here. Okay, again, keep all the screws in order. They are different size, shape, and lengths. So we're gonna get this screw out and this screw out. Okay, there's two. The other screw is from the bottom cover, that's why it's missing. Okay, now we're gonna have to flip the hinge up slightly. It's a little bit difficult to like lift this up from scratch if you have no fingernails. You can see I can do it, but if you have no fingernails, it's gonna be very difficult. So the workaround is to actually open up the laptop slightly. Don't open it too far, okay? And then when you let go, you can see now there's a gap here, and that lets you get your finger underneath and you can carefully, slowly lift this. You want to be careful not to pull this too far because it will hit the plastic part here, and if you go too quick, you can actually damage the plastic. Okay, now we're going to disconnect the DC jack. I use my fingernails again at the wings. Wiggle, there we go. And here's the connector. All right, so the replacement sometimes isn't the exact size, so we'll see. Okay, you can see this charge port's a little difficult to get out, so sometimes I'll use like my screwdriver in the middle to help pull it up. If you're gonna do that, make sure this is disconnected. You don't want it connected and then you do that and you short something in here. Okay, but basically I'm just using that to help pull it up like at the same time, so that way both sides are lifted up at the same time. Okay, so there's the old one. Here's what the new replacement looks like. you want to make sure if it doesn't have a black mark on it that you plug this in the same way, okay? So the charge port goes in like this. You can actually see how it's bent on there. And this little hole has this little plastic thing that holds it in place. So we'll drop that in, and then we'll rotate this to have it follow the guides. Again, same thing, you can see how the old one was. We're gonna do that, and then we'll plug this guy in. So let's go ahead and plug this in. And you wanna make sure this goes in straight, okay? So make sure push it down until it's flat, and then you wanna get both sides and pinch it together at the same time, okay? If you go in crooked, there's a chance you can bend the pins inside there, and then you're not gonna be able to fix it, or it's gonna be very difficult to fix. All right, now we're just gonna make sure this cable routes around so that it doesn't get smashed by the hinge. We're gonna go ahead and slowly, carefully close the hinge back down. Okay, very simple to replace this piece actually. And then we're gonna go ahead and get the 2 screws here and tighten those into place. So we got this one. Make sure you tighten it real good. All right, and then this one. As you can see, they actually put a little blue Loctite, or not Loctite, thread locker there. That's to keep the screws from coming loose. I'm gonna put a tiny bit of this red one. I know some people think this red stuff is permanent, but in these tiny laptop screws, it doesn't actually hold that strong. This kind of stuff, sometimes they're not safe for plastic, so you wanna make sure you don't overflow too much. You put barely any, because you don't want it to like flow into the plastic areas. This specific laptop, it's nice. They actually have metal, right, I don't know what you call those things, but the screws go into like solid metal things that it doesn't seem like it's just surrounded by plastic like most of the laptops are. Whoops. Okay, so get that, line that up, and then we'll tighten that in. All right, and there we go. And that's just so like the small vibrations, and when it opens and closes, it doesn't cause the screw to slowly come out. They actually had some blue thread locker already on there. You can actually see this screw was already loose. I could actually twist it. So I'm gonna actually add thread locker to this as well, because if these screws come too loose, it can actually damage the hinge area. So you don't actually want those coming loose. And I put like very tiny amount, as you can see, or hopefully you can see. All right, you don't want to put too much of this stuff on there. And then we tighten it down. They put like a blue one. The blue one is supposed to be like a non-permanent one, but as you can see, it's like super loose. It doesn't hold at all. So that's why I use the red one. On some laptops, you'll actually see they start using like yellow, white, red. They have all different colors, and yeah, I think over time they find out which ones aren't holding strong enough, so they start adapting and using stronger ones of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over components that are in here. Let's actually go ahead and I'm gonna plug the battery back in, okay, just so I can test the charge port, and then we're gonna pull it to make sure it's in all the way. And then we're going to plug this in. I have this charger, which I'm not 100% sure if it's a working one, so let's see if it lights up or not. Oh yeah, so now the charge port, it lights up. You can see how it's white. It wasn't doing that with the old one, so the old one wasn't even charging the laptop. Okay, anyways, let's go ahead and take a look. We have the headphone jack, or whatever you want to call this, 3.5 millimeter audio jack, USB 3.0, and the SD card slot here, all on this board. This is a replaceable connector board. You can flip this latch and then you can pull the cable out. Since I have the battery in it plugged in, I don't want to like start disconnecting things. But here's the fingerprint reader latch for some models. So this latch is on this side, but this model specifically doesn't have a fingerprint reader. That's why there's no cable there. Right, there's an M.2 PCIe NVMe SSD here. If you use a full-sized one, you can throw this metal plate away. You don't need it. You won't even be able to use it because the metal feet here will actually stab into the new M.2 SSD if it's too long. So if you get an upgrade to a larger one, throw this metal plate away and put the screw directly into this to hold it down. Okay, you have the wireless card here. All right, underneath this metal plate, there's 2 antennas. You go from the tail to pop them up after you remove that if you want to do that. Here's the fan connector. This cable goes to the board that we showed earlier. Same thing, flip latch there. All right, there's a little dust on there. CPU is underneath here. It's not upgradable. It's soldered to the motherboard. I mean, technically, if you have the tools to do it, you wouldn't ask if it's upgradable. It's technically upgradable, but I don't know. I don't even know where you would get a standalone CPU to upgrade this, and I don't know if the board would support it. Sometimes it doesn't. All right, you got 2 sticks of RAM here. You would pull these 2 tabs aside. It'll pop up at an angle. Then you can pull it out, put the next one in at an angle, and then click it down. This is 8 gig PC4 3200 AA. So if you want to upgrade the RAM, any PC4 3200 AA RAM should work. If you want to put 2 16 gigs, you should be okay. LCD LVDS connector here. This is for the screen. If you're going to mess with this, again, disconnect the battery, unplug it, the computer, open the laptop, press and hold the power button at least 15 seconds. Then you can go ahead and flip this latch and pull that out. We were to replace the DC jack there. Keyboard connector is here, flip latch on this side. Some models have a backlight. This is where it would go. The flip latch is there. Battery we already showed. This is the touchpad, trackpad connector, flip latch there. You can pull that out. This is for the hard drive, which you can also upgrade to a 2.5-inch SATA SSD. Flip latch is here, and the SATA connector is here. It comes with this caddy, and 4 screws are under this tape. You have to pull this tape up, take those screws out, and the screws will go into the side of this bracket to hold the SSD or hard drive into this little tray. And then you do have to take these 4 screws out to lift the tray out first, and then you can put the hard drive, put these screws, then put the whole thing back in after you connect that on it. All right. Battery connector has this special latch here. So this kind of thing, I think it's a sliding. Yep. So there's a sliding mechanism here. You slide that, and then you can pull this connector out if you need to replace that with a new battery. And the new battery doesn't come with the connector. Usually the new batteries don't come with this kind of connector. Make sure when you're done putting the battery back in that you can see you can slide this thing back up. Okay. Make sure it slides up all the way. I'm not sure if this is in all the way. Okay, so make sure this goes in all the way. All right, and I think that's pretty much it. Oh, the speakers here, they're not held in with screws. They're just held in with these rubber things. You can pull them up. You can see one cable goes from the bottom of this one all the way up to this speaker, and then they both connect right there. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. Let's go ahead and put the bottom cover back in. Again, if this helped you out, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. Again, if it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Alright, anyways, let's go ahead and click this all back down. You push down and towards the center at the same time to get the clips back in. Alright, also I have another channel called It's Been Reviewed and More where I put my random review videos. They currently go on this channel as well, but I'm hoping that once that channel takes off, then I can keep this just for the reviews, or sorry, the repair videos. So if that's something you want to see happen, please subscribe to that channel as well so it can continue to grow, and then eventually I'll be able to separate everything out. Alright. Let's get these screws in, and that's pretty much it. We will power on the computer just to see, but it should be good. We already got everything reconnected. Okay, let me make sure this light turned off. So I think it's 100% charged now. Yeah. So it goes on and then back off. So that means the laptop should be fully charged. I think before the customer said they had to like bend the charger in a certain way to get it to charge. So yeah, now the charge port is a lot more tight. All right. Let's go ahead and get the last couple screws in. And we'll power it up and see what we got. All right. Flip this guy over. Open it up, push the power button. Also, because we disconnected the main battery, it's usually going to power cycle several times. You can see the caps lock light is on. That's normal. Give it a few minutes. If for some reason it still doesn't turn on after like an hour or something, then double check your RAM. Maybe the RAM isn't connected right. Maybe the RAM isn't compatible, or the RAM connector is dirty, or it's defective. So yeah, double check the RAM if you feel you did everything right and the only thing you touched was maybe the RAM or the battery. Double check those things, okay? So we're just waiting for it now. Actually, right now this isn't on either, so let's see. Maybe I'll have to power it up again. I don't know if it was powering up before either, so hopefully it's not that the computer is dead. You can see the power light is still on. All right, we'll push the power button again. You can see this is lighting up. I'll give it a few minutes and then we'll see, okay? So caps lock light is staying on. I don't know if the fan is spinning. Usually sometimes you'll hear the fan spinning. But yeah, right now still nothing, just the caps lock light. Okay. So I'll give it a few, oh, actually it's on now. So once you do that, you want to make sure to set the date and time again properly, because the date and time will get reset since the main battery actually acts as the CMOS, BIOS, RTC real-time clock battery as well. So double check that, and that should be it. Again, hopefully this video helped you guys out. Again, it's going to take a while to boot up. You can see it's not like booting right away. Give it some time. But that's pretty much it. It'll probably restart several times until you get to setting up the date and time. If it doesn't go to the BIOS for you or tell you to go to the BIOS, then you can actually set up the date and time in Windows. So you can see it restarted again, and this time the screen just went a little bit dim. And here you go. Battery critically low, plugged in, lower power, okay, whatever, USB-C. So do the BIOS setup thing because it says time of day not set. So go to the BIOS setup, and then you can set that. If you don't set it there, you can also set it in Windows. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, hopefully it helped. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right, let's drop this. Bye.